we'll have a
Hey guys, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of Yoml. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. So today we are on Reflection 267 and we're on a brand new book. And I think this is not the usual book that we would dive in, but it's I think it's one of those things where inspiration can come from anywhere kind of book. So I hope that that is the case.
yeah. This is a tough one. It's a fiction book for me, so the fiction books are always tough. But it's called In the Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. The reflection title is Knowledge Always Finds a Way. So you obviously know the name Umberto Eco, right?
Right.
So this book is his signature most famous book, right? And it's about these Benedictine monks. And it takes place in an abbey in like the 1300s, and there's this kind of like detective monk that was sent to this abbey to go investigate some like murder, and then like this is like a murder mystery book basically. And like as he's like getting to know the people and investigating stuff, he gets sucked into like this deeper conspiracies that are going on in the abbey, and a whole lot of things that are going on, and as it says in the bottom down here, there's a bunch of these like labyrinths and stuff like that in the abbey that you find out the most interesting things happen at night in the abbey, and he has to figure it all out, right? And kind of it's like almost like a Sherlock Holmes kind of book with monks in the 13th century. It's a it's a weird book. It wasn't bad for a fiction book. It's not that bad, but the reason why I read this book is why.
Right.
When I first read the book The Black Swan by Nassim Taleb, he talked about Umberto Eco's anti-library, which is
Right.
all the libraries, all the
The
books in your
books.
library that you want to read, kind of thing. And that's really what it's about. It's about learning. It's about, and people say like, wow, professor, like, Umberto Eco, like how like look at all these amazing books, like how have you read all these? Like there's two different types of people. One that asks, have you read them all? And the other ones are like, oh, I get it, like these are just like, this is like your research lab, this is your your anti-library, right? So when I heard this from Nassim Taleb, we've always used the words anti-library ever since, and I, as soon as I finished that book, I was like, who is this Umberto Eco guy anyway? So I went and looked up his book, and this is the book, right? It's sold over 50 million copies. This was his debut novel.
Wow.
It's like one of the most successful selling novels of all time. Like it comes up as like, I don't know, it's in the top 50 of like most successful selling novels of all time kind of thing. And it's a really long book, True. Like it's really long. Like it's
Really?
a yeah, it's long. It's like a 20 plus hour audio book, and which
Wow.
probably like at least 800 pages, regular text, you know what I mean? It's a long ass book. So the it's like one of those anomalies, like it's a black swan, honestly, like of a book, where you're like, it doesn't make any sense why it became so popular, and I don't know that anybody can even understand it. It was well written. It was a good story. I mean, for a fiction book, I got wrapped up in it, but like there's, the only reason I read it is because Celeb recommended it, and I had a little extra time because this is in between when I was switching jobs after the dip a few weeks ago, and I realized, hey, I'm in a cul-de-sac, and I need, then I left my job, and I took a month off in between the roles that I'd already accepted. So I just was running a lot, had nothing really better to do, and I had this book sitting on my own anti-library for 2 years, and every single time I wanted to go read this book, I looked at it and I was like, oh shit, that's a really long book, and I don't even like fiction. I was like, can I really do this? I even started it. I started it one time when I used to have that subscription to Scribed, where it was like paid per month, and you can just download whatever. I actually downloaded the book, and I started it for like 20 minutes, and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like it was just I immediately was like, oh god, he's just talking about 13th century monk, shit. And I was like, I can't do this. So I stopped it. This is like 2 years ago, right? So it sat on my anti-library for like 2 years, like just menacingly staring at me, going, hey, read me. I know you want to figure out what this is all about, right? This is Umberto Eco, like, is it good or not? So I finally pulled the trigger and decided to finish it. And shocker, what I found was I didn't really like it that much because I don't really like fiction. But for a fiction book, it wasn't that bad. There's just something about fiction versus nonfiction and memoirs for me. Like when I'm learning, because for me, I don't read to read, I read to learn, right? Like, and I that's my core value, is learn something new every day. Like I just don't learn anything with the fiction book. If I want to be entertained, like I'll just watch a show on Netflix or a movie or something like that, but like I for whatever reason, fiction books just do not entertain me. Like, and I don't really care to be entertained all day long. I want to learn. Like that's the fun about it for me. So like that's why I I start a nonfiction book and I'm like, oh, whoa, oh, dinosaurs are birds? Holy shit, and I'm like wrapped up in the story, whereas most people be like, you're a fucking nerd, man. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and books like this, I'm just like, oh God, like, it looks like I'm gotta go climb. This is exactly what we talk about all the time, about when you like something versus when it's eating cake or eating the frog. Like for me,
Right.
almost every single time, I've never read a fiction book where I'm like, oh man, that was like eating the cake, like that. It's
Yeah.
always eating the frog for me. Like when I'm eating or when I'm consuming a fiction book, it seems like. So I digress. So the reflection title for this one is Knowledge Always Finds a Way. So because this is the year of magical learning, because I did read this book, and Amelia and I did enjoy it, and to some levels, and we wanted to share our learnings with the world. We dug deep and we pulled out a nugget, out of this, and to share with everybody, and without ruining the book, because I'm sure you'll probably never read it. But
Probably not.
If anybody ever watches this, like, and they want to read this book, like, I'm not going to ruin the book. But it revolves around a library and secrets in the library, that people, these monks go to painstakingly lengths, i.e., even killing people, to protect. So after I finished this book, it reminded me how much, like, knowledge, it's one of our human superpowers is to consume knowledge and then to share knowledge, just like you and I are doing right now, right? Mm-hmm. Or what I'm doing right now, I guess, and then what you'll do as soon as I'm done. Right. And once it's out, and once you write something down, once this thing is published, like, it's out there in the universe, like, I can't take it back. And the whole point, you're not supposed to take it back, like, is the whole point, in my opinion. Like, once you have a thought and you share, and your job is to share it, with the world. Share the elixir, right? If you learn something, share it with somebody else. It's, we talked about with the kids, the versus the monkeys. Like, the monkeys might have come up with some more brilliant ideas, but they didn't share it. Like, so their little brilliant ideas just stuck with them, and it dies with them. Like, the kids come up with maybe a somewhat okay idea, but then they go share with everybody else, and then everybody gets that knowledge, and then they all work together, and then somebody else gets another little piece of knowledge, and then we all share it together, and then we continue to grow and grow and grow together. Well, this particular book, the knowledge was being hoarded and protected, and that's what led to all the events that was in the entire book is all about, like, basically somebody trying to keep knowledge out of other people's hands, and it was, they wanted it controlled, and they wanted to control the distribution of it, and they wanted to make sure that nobody, only the people that needed to see this understood it and saw it. And when that happened, like, a lot of other calamities start to happen, because knowledge always finds a way forward, no matter what. Like, knowledge can never be a reservoir. You can't dam it up. Like, it's got to be a channel. It's got to flow through, right? Like, it's like, you can't just stop knowledge. You can't just say, hey, like, who are you to say, who are any of us to say what is knowledge that somebody else should know or not know? That may have worked, in medieval times when there truly was, well, it never worked. Honestly, it's never worked. Like, I mean, it may have been easier to do in medieval times. It may have been easier to do, when priests, like, sat up in their ivory towers and they were the only ones that could read, or whatever, or something along those lines. But either way, even then, knowledge still always found a way to break through. Like, you can't stop it. Like, once it's out there, you cannot stop it. So this is like the laws of the universe we've talked about many and many times, right? You can either go against it or you can go with it. So you can do your best to contain knowledge and to hoard it for yourself, and to control the distribution of it. But it's going to require a whole lot of willpower, and I have a weird feeling that you're probably going to be unsuccessful with it at the end of the day. Or you can just let it be a channel and flow through you and share it with the rest of the world, and whatever happens at that point in time, right? So that's what this book made me think about, and what Amelia and I learned on this one. So now knowledge will always find a way forward. You cannot stop it. Like once it's out there, in my opinion, you just cannot stop it ever from going where it wants to go. I'd love to get your thoughts. Yeah.
So I feel like, so I think you're right. Knowledge is one of those things where you can't contain it. Eventually, it's going to leak out. Just like trying to cover up some light, it's going to leak out at some point.
Right.
But I also feel that back in the 1300, people trying to control knowledge. I still think that people are even more wanting to control knowledge today, and they use different tactics today, right? So today, instead of like containing knowledge, they put a blindfold over you, or they would shine a decoy light onto you. So I'm seeing, so in the modern day, the way to protect the knowledge, it is to bombard you with non-true knowledge, like not like slides,
alternate facts.
Alternate facts, exactly.
Yeah.
So one iota of knowledge has 10 or even 100, even 1,000 alternate facts. And so to me, this is, and you think about it, this is how we are being bombarded with information, and 99 out of 100, all information we done on the internet or what we get for people is not the right one. And to me, it's hiding it in noise, hiding it in a bunch of other things. Basically, become like, kind of like finding Waldo kind of idea. So I think people are more wanting to control the knowledge today than before. But at the same time, knowledge cannot be contained, because you look at us, right? We have been blindfolded and kind of like indoctrinated into the system of whatever people want us to believe. But you and I have got to the point where we become, like a peak of what the knowledge was, and we held on to it, and that's why we are talking about whatever society is trying to tell you how to do. We need to do the opposite of it, because you say, hey, eat the frog. Say, why are you eating the frog? Eat the cake, right? And so there's a lot of I guess groups that have found a sliver of knowledge, and like I said, the knowledge, like you said, it can't be contained. It can be masked, but it can't be contained, because basically you say, hey, I'm going to, clone each of the knowledge, but change it slightly different, so that way you have less access to knowledge. In the 1300, what they do is they take the knowledge and they hide it, put it in a box, right? But it's still big.
No, they literally put it in a library, and they put poison. I mean, right.
It prevent access to it. So modern day tactic is they're not preventing you access to it. They just overwhelm you with the stuff. You don't know which one is which, right? So you gather the wrong knowledge.
It's almost like it's almost like you're, gosh, what is the I see what I'm visualizing, like just knowledge floating everywhere, and you're like, I got to pick something, versus there's no knowledge in like the 1300s, and like I see one thing and a light, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to that. But like over here, there's just shit everywhere, and you're like,
exactly,
what do I pull out of this, that's actually worthwhile to even, then we just step back, you're like,
and you pull out one of the alternate facts is disguised as knowledge.
You're like, what the fuck is this? And you're like, I don't want this. Like,
sometimes you do know that you don't want it. Sometimes you say, well, is it? You don't know. You can't tell the difference, because it resembles exactly like it.
Right.
But it's not like, for example, you're talking about, hey, let's pick up a diamond versus a CZ, right? It looks exactly like. So how can you tell? The only way for people to tell is to go through and look at all the little fancy stuff. Well, that's what I'm saying, is it's hard for people to tell the difference between alternate fact versus the knowledge.
You could go on here and like all day long on LinkedIn. You know, losing somebody suddenly in life reminds you of why you never take friendships for granted. Like this is all I had to do was click on a button and go somewhere, and this guy is sharing his life story with. Is this how we should live life? Like, you know, like this story of this guy, you know, blah blah blah. Like or I'm sure I'll find another. You know, this tweet went viral. The reason why it's obvious as it appears. Yes, Chewy's blah 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 blah. Like, you know.
It's not even an ad.
I mean, there's, you know, no matter who you're like this guy's a social worker, finds, you know, Zen tip, the precious gift we can offer others is our presence, you know, and blah 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 blah. Fitch not saw whatever. Like I'm saying, like
that's from a monk, by the way.
No, it is. I know, but my point is like in the 1300s, like I just went on here for 2 seconds and I found, you know, multiple tips of like how I should maybe be thinking about life.
It's
or whatever.
knowledge
like,
everywhere.
It's knowledge everywhere.
It's knowledge like bombardment, and you know the kicker is that it's not the real knowledge, and the real knowledge is hidden inside of the you know the beans. You know, talking about finding Waldo kind of thing. Say, hey, where's Waldo? And so for us human beings, it's harder for us to distinguish the difference between knowledge and alternative facts. And so I think it's been more effective for people to,
well, even alternate facts
in a way,
are knowledge.
high knowledge.
I mean, it's still knowledge. Like it's just is the knowledge that you want. I think what you're trying to get to.
But no, we're talking about like let's say we're talking about like eating the frog, right? That is, you think is that knowledge?
It's knowledge. Yeah. It's not knowledge that we want. Like
but
that you and I have decided that we want, but it's knowledge.
If I say grass is blue, is that knowledge?
Yeah.
Then it's false knowledge.
I mean, well, or maybe it is right. I don't know. Maybe the percent thinking in bets, right? We just finished this book like, you know, 2 days ago. You know, is it? I'm 98% sure that you're wrong.
But that's like, the thing is, the point, you know? Is because if you say it that way, then no knowledge is also knowledge.
Agreed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, ignorance is bliss.
So to contain knowledge isn't possible then.
No, that's my whole point. Is like if you try to stop knowledge from getting to.
Okay, but I guess the premise of the book, you know, to control the knowledge, it doesn't make sense at all because
but it does because some people think that certain knowledge is so important that only certain people should know it and should protect it. Like that's like saying that, like, you know, if
like eating a frog,
the happiness
right?
hypothesis, yeah. But let's just say if eating the frog was the single piece of knowledge that everybody knew in this world, you know, that a few people in this world knew, that was like,
right.
If you want to be the successful,
happy,
or the most happy human,
whatever,
it's eat the frog. So I'm gonna go lock that shit away just for my private group to distribute to who we want to go distribute that to. Like. It's not possible. Like that's what I'm trying to say is like it's certain types of knowledge, you know, people for forever have wanted to protect and to control distribution of that. Like hell, even religion, right? Like I mean, look at the Catholic Church. Like only the priests are the ones that could tell you, you know, what, like could read these books and could share whatever was going on, you know, and like people would come to them and they would say, oh, well, this is the knowledge that I want, you know, like, or you're telling me, like, you're giving me the secrets, you know, and I want to know the secrets. But like now, to your point, like you can find secrets anywhere, all day, every day. Like, you know, like it's secrets are everywhere. Like now it's like what secret is actually what you actually care about.
It's like, for example, you go on the net and then internet says, what's the secret to become a successful blah, 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 right? You get like
I'm sure
5 million hits.
Here, let's see. Here, what is the secret to happiness?
323 million hits.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Take your pick. Take your pick where you want to. You know what knowledge you want. You want 20 secrets. You want 10 secrets. Do you want
12 secrets?
12, yeah. Like like I mean like this would have been only one monk would have known, or maybe a handful of monks would have known this, you know, that lived in the Vatican or something like that, you know, like of what they thought the theory was at that point in time. Or maybe Jesus shared, you know, some dogma to somebody, like, and they carried, they only, wanted to share that little tiny piece of information with some, my point is, like, it's like eventually, like, I don't care how long it takes, that knowledge will eventually, like, for humanity to continue to move forward in this world, like, we have to share, and we have to decide for ourselves what is knowledge that we want and knowledge that we don't want, and that's up to you to filter through your values, in my opinion, and your purpose. But you get to be the filter. Like, nobody else should be your filter. Nobody else should tell you what you can and cannot learn, in my opinion.
Right, and I think that's the beauty of having, I guess, a country that allows you to do that. And there is some other country that knowledge, like, even like if I would, and I mean, to a certain extent, in the United States, some of these have been suppressed based on, like, okay, if I say freedom of speech and I say something, if somebody didn't like it, they censor it. Like, you're talking about from social media companies to TVs to many things, they start to censor stuff. But in the other country, like China, in the Asian countries, whatnot, and even in the Middle East as well, all of the information has been filtered by a
Has it?
Yes.
No, I understand it had. Like, do you think that those people are never, at some point in time, do you think the people of China, whether it be this century, next century, 500 years from now, do you really think that at some point in time that those people will not be able to consume whatever knowledge they want to consume when they want to consume it at some point in time in the world, in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think they will, because the knowledge cannot be contained forever. I mean,
My
that's the
point.
thing
Like,
is,
it's a fool's
I mean,
errand. Like,
I agree, but there are attempts to do that, and
and they never have worked ever. Has it ever worked where somebody has contained knowledge in the
right,
history?
because there's nothing that no one can keep a secret, because whatever secret it happens in history, somebody has some kind of account of it, whether it's the kings or the royal palace or whatever. There is somebody is retelling the story, because we are compelled to share the knowledge,
Hey,
and so regardless of
we have to share. Yes.
how hidden
What's the
how
point if you don't
hidden
share?
secrets or how dirty the information is, it's gonna come out. That's
What's the
why.
what's the point if you don't share? This is like, hey, True, I have a secret. I'm a trillionaire. Like you said before, like, what's the point of being a trillionaire if you can never tell anybody or never spend your money? Like what? There is
if
no
you don't
point to a
if you
secret.
don't share if you don't share knowledge or secrets, you're not human.
Not only that, you're an idiot. Like, it's like there's
You
theories
can't
that
you can't
language
be
developed.
you can't as a human being, you can't.
There's literal there's remember in Sapiens when he talked about, there's literal, theories out there that language only started because we wanted to gossip, because we had knowledge we wanted to share about another human being, and we had to share it. We were compelled. Like, like, I mean, like, it's like, what is the fucking point? I don't know. Maybe my dog is the most brilliant. Maybe my dog knows everything there is to know about this world, but
But it can't
can't tell
communicate
me.
with you, right?
Who gives a shit?
And
Like, I don't.
and it can't tell another dog, right? So
Right. So who
it can't
cares?
tell a single soul. It can't tell a dog, can't tell a beaver, can't tell anyone. He knows everything, but it can't say. This is the worst thing, right? Just like imagine you can hear, but you can't speak. That is the worst state you can be in.
Yeah.
Because you can hear what people talk
Can
about you,
you
but
write? Can you write?
no, you can't write. You can't communicate back. You can receive, but you can't broadcast.
You can't, like, tap. You can't learn Morse code or something. Like, you can't.
No. Yeah. So yeah, if you have Morse code, blah blah, it helps, right? But it's still going to be very, very difficult for you to maintain that state. And it is the worst if you can receive, but you can't broadcast, because you can receive I mean, all the bashing to whatever, and it may take you off, like, to the highest level, but you can't do anything to ease it or to stop it, to counter it. That is the worst that
It's like,
I imagine you can do. So imagining having be a trillionaire, but you can't tell a single soul. They can't broadcast that to anyone, and no one will receive it.
It's awful. No, I mean it. Like, if I didn't have you and Amelia to do this stuff with every single day, like I don't know that I would still be doing this. Like, because I mean, I love learning it, and I love the feeling for myself of going, oh my god, dinosaurs are birds. Like, they can breathe. They oxygen. They get oxygen when they take a breath in and when they exhale. Like, that may be. I mean, I might be putting together all the pieces of the world, but like, I don't have anybody even talk to about it. Like,
because I mean, learning is not a one-step process.
Right, it's iterative.
Because the thing is, you say, you found a nugget of knowledge, but then you can't share it with me or with anyone who cares. That learning becomes like it doesn't fulfill its cycle, so that learning doesn't stick, right?
Well, then protecting it too is the worst. Like, I mean, it would be like, what am I protecting? Like, I mean, do I go my whole entire life like telling everybody like
this is the reason why
everything?
It is so hard to keep a secret.
It's impossible to keep a secret. It's like, I mean, this is the whole point of like this reflection. Basically, is it's like impossible. Like, eventually people will find out. Like, I mean, there is just no way. Like,
it's not about finding out. It's about people are going to blurt it out.
You want to tell so like, oh my god, man, it is like wildly known in my family. Like, don't ever tell me a secret, because like I am the worst. Like, I'm like, if my wife like makes fun of me all the time, because when I ever buy her a gift for birthdays or anniversaries, I'm like, as soon as it arrives, I'm like, do you want to know what your gift is? And she's like, no, I don't. I'm like, you sure? You sure? You sure you don't? You sure you don't? I sure don't. Like, every day I'm like, you want to know? But do you want to know? Do you want to know? Do you want to know? And then eventually she's like, fine, just tell me. Just fucking tell me. Like, and I'm like, okay, all right. Like, I mean, I'm awful at it. Surprise parties, birthday parties, like, like my friends tell me a secret and they're like they just know, don't tell Chris the secret, because it's like I'll be like, yeah, I won't tell anybody, and then like 5 minutes later I'll be like, look, I can't tell you this, but like so and so did something, and like, you can make your own decisions after that, and then it gets back to the,
you already spill half the beans.
Right, exactly. Like
I can't tell you who it is, but that someone with this color hair, with this kind of, you describe the whole person.
One of my best friends, when he had his first son, his name was him and his wife picked out two names they really, really liked, and we were down at my parents' lake house with like me and like four of my friends. This is like a couple years ago now, and he was like, we were asking him like, do you have a name picked out? They were like 6 months long, and he was like, yeah, we got some names. And he's like, what am I gonna tell you guys? And I was like, fuck that. Like, I was like, yeah, you are. And we all were like, yeah, look, like, you don't have to tell us, but like, we're gonna guess, like, you don't have to give us any tips, like, whatever. But if we get it, like, you gotta tell us if we got it, And so we like put together a detective group of like the five of us who were down there, and we just started like asking every question we could think of about like what type of name it is, blah blah blah, like narrowing it down, certain things, and all of a sudden, like, we got it. We got the fucking name, and his name was Graham. Is what he was gonna name his son. And he was like, God damn it, how'd you guys fucking figure this out? So we figured it out, but he was like, you cannot fucking tell anybody. He was like, you just fine. I confirm, especially do not let my wife know. Like, do not let my wife know that I told you, because I promised her that I would never tell anybody. But
he promised her he won't tell anybody, but he did tell you.
But we like needled him down so much to like, get him to say it. So, but it gets better because
deep down, I think he wants to tell.
Oh, he wanted to tell so bad.
That's why he plays along.
Right. It's like, he let us peer pressure him into finally, getting the answer right. So my wife was like, was down there with us, obviously, and was like having fun playing this game with us, and over the next like following few months, like whenever I'd run into any of our other friends, I'd be like, when like, I think I kept saying like schmam or something like that, and my wife was like, look at me like, you can't. What are you fucking doing? And I'm like, I didn't say the name. I just said like schmam, it rhymes with schmam, I probably did that. Like,
you got an itch into a scratch, It's like, like how you had chicken pox, and instead of scratching, you would rub it. So it was like schmam.
Right. I never told anybody. I promise. I swear to God, I never said the name Graham to any single living soul, but I definitely alluded to it, like probably at least 7 times, you know.
Right, like you have the itch you need to scratch,
right.
but you say, hey, you can't scratch it, and so you rub it.
But this is the point. It's like nobody can hold a secret back. Like even something as stupid and trivial as the name of your child, you know, the like your unborn child. Like it's like it's you know, yeah. I mean, like I don't know. What would be the point of this whole entire journey if I never shared this with anybody and yourself, and we
What's
didn't
the
do
point
the
of being human if you can't share with anybody? You would be
nothing.
the you know the most miserable human being because
Yeah,
you are not allowing yourself to do something it is in your nature to do. It is in your nature to share the knowledge. This is why discovery and sharing is so like rooted in our core that we cannot, survive with it
right.
because we basically crumble and die from inside.
Right.
I mean, you're gonna become so repressed. This is the reason why when you were talking to somebody, it gives you energy, but when you suppress it, it takes so much energy just to hold it, like containing an atomic bomb.
Yep.
And so it takes so much energy to do just that. And frankly, most
A
people don't
lot of
have that kind
willpower.
of energy.
Like, that's a lot of willpower and a lot of eating the frog, you know. And like, I mean, I don't want to spend my entire life like hell. Like one of the best determining factors of a company you want to work at and not want to work at is if they share knowledge. Like if everybody knows what's going on, like and if they don't, then run away because it's like I mean, eventually that shit'll crumble. Like I mean, like it's just like you cannot contain knowledge at a and just the executive leadership team. Like, who the fuck are they? Like, I mean, who gives a shit? Like, what do you think? You guys are so smart. You're the only ones that can figure out like how to solve, whatever the challenges of our go-to-market strategy. Like, fuck off. Like, I mean, there's plenty of smart people out there. Like,
But that's that,
up,
and that's the point, though. I mean, if you start a company and you do everything, you won't be successful because you're too busy doing stuff that you're not well qualified for.
right?
It's
And you're
not
hoarding
it's
all the
not
knowledge.
it's not the cake that you're eating. You're eating the frog because I mean, frankly, there's something you like to do, but you run a company. There's so many different things you have to do to make the engine run.
Right.
And as a person, you only have a preference for one or a few things, not everything. So if you think that hey, you can hold the knowledge or you can't share the knowledge, and well, how the rest of the system gonna function? So share the knowledge is pertinent to a successful company. I mean, in my opinion, if you use it, if you going to have people working inside the company.
Look at the CIA and the FBI. How much doubt is there in those institutions?
Like 100%.
100%. Why? Because they're knowledge hoarders. Like we all look at them and we're like, well, if you
Like
fucking know, just tell us. Like, like I mean, we're not idiots. Like it's not like those are the secret institutions of America, right? Like and none of us trust them. And do you think that they're gonna be around in like what's the first institution that's gonna go? Like if America crumbles, I'm sure it's probably, shit like that, right? It's not the open, court system or
well, the
Supreme
thing is
Court where you can watch them deliberate, like
this is when that's the weakness of America.
mm-hmm.
The weakness of America is the CIA and the National Security Agency. Those are the weakness because for the American system to collapse, they have to infiltrate those agencies, and
Yeah.
they will, right?
Yep.
That because you can't infiltrate from outside. You just can't because
Right.
because the problem is let's say you come into America. We as Americans have freedom of speech. We are passing on this knowledge so fast, so rapid that they before they can blink, we will grab them by the neck, right? So the only way for them to infiltrate America and steal America, it is through these agencies
Yep.
because agencies like, hey, you work for a boss, but you don't trust him because he could be the enemy, and then your boss don't trust you because you could be the enemy. You could
Right.
betray him at any time, and then
I mean, how many books and movies have been written about that shit? Like the CIA and the FBI. Like, why we write them? Because we're like, that's not human. Like, the movies that are like so successful and books like this, maybe that's why Name of the Rose is so successful, because it's like, what? Like this isn't how humans behave. Like, and it's like we love to see the freak show. We're like, oh yeah, like, it's always interesting. What if you did keep a secret? Like, because we're not supposed to. Like, it's like, this is the whole point. Is like, it's that's why we love movies about the CIA. It's why we love shows like Homeland. You know, it's why we love, you know, I mean, think about all the shows like that have been written, like detective movies and you know and spy movies and James Bonds, and you know we all want to think that the M at MI6 or whatever is like, you know, the like I you know I don't, you get my point. Like it's like that's like those are some of the most famous books and movies. Sherlock Holmes, you know, like he's the keeper of all the knowledge, you know, like, you know, Sherlock Holmes, you know, knows stuff that you don't know, you know, and like that's fascinates us because
Right.
should be.
Because it's not what we understand as to be the natural way of things. So we are curious. Like, what do you mean by that? Because
Right.
if it's understood and it's common sense, like, okay, I already know. There's nothing for me to wait and see what happens, right? And so that's the reason why these books have become popular. But at the same time, it becomes a double-edged sword because people think, because they watch so many of these things, they think that's the way things supposed to work. And then
Right.
whatever they have naturally been able to acquire, they start to doubt what they do, right? When you go to the workplace, right, people treat you like shit and say, well, that's what it's supposed to be. It is what it is. This is what we keep saying to people, right?
Right.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
okay, I didn't know that we were supposed to do that. I thought that was you know, that was
Supposed to be
common.
nice to people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I thought I was supposed to be a homo puppy, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's because you think about, like, you know, right now everybody is like, hey, I want to be a fucking princess. I want to be this. But you can't everybody be a princess. You can't everybody be a leader, right? Because if everybody become a leader, right? Who's gonna follow? Who's a follower, right? And so that's the thing, is all these books and all these schools are starting to teach people. It's like I told you, in my daughter's you know, curriculum, they have this leadership class. Everybody has to take. It's like, what if you don't want to be a leader? Why you don't have to take a leadership class?
Is
It's
there a
like,
follower? Is there a follower class? Like how to be a great
no,
follower?
there's no follow class. There's just only leadership class, right?
That's funny.
And so,
Oh, you should start a follower class. You should go to the school and say, hey, I want a follower class. You know, like what the hell's a follower class? You know, like how to be submissive and just take.
we already do that. We are
It's called
doing
school.
that already.
Yeah.
It's called school.
It's called school. You know, and you're like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, all right. Yeah.
But leadership class is also follower class.
Right. Exactly. That's true. Yeah. That is funny. In the leadership class, you need to follow. You know.
Yes,
before
you
can
need to follow.
that is really funny, actually. Yeah, leadership class. You should just be like that. The leadership class should literally be like nobody shows up because you're like, I'm doing my thing. You know, like what do you want? What are you going to teach me, bitch? You know.
If I'm taking leadership class, I'm not showing up because I'm not following.
Right.
You get it? I'm not following. Like, and then I get back there.
I wonder what would happen if you did that. They'd, you know,
like,
I mean, if I was your professor, I'd be like,
this is leadership class.
that's a leader. That's a leader move.
That's a leader.
Right.
Yes, leader move. What are you talking about? This is what we're supposed to learn, right?
Yeah.
Not to follow. You're telling me to follow your instructions. You tell me to follow the curriculum you wanted me to follow. What's the point of leadership class if you have to follow?
That's a great point. What's the point of going to an entrepreneurial class? There's entrepreneurial majors now in college.
Really?
Yeah, you can major in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, is that not comical, or like, you know?
It is comical to me, but
here's a class on how to not know how to do on how to invent. You know,
no, Chris. It's not only a class; it's actually a fucking major now.
Oh yeah, no, it's yeah.
It's like you get a bachelor in entrepreneurship.
Yes. No. I mean, whoops! It's
not just a class; it's like a major.
What is an
entrepreneurship major, right?
It is prepares students for the intricacies of planning, launching, and leading a new business with focus and creativity on innovation, new venture planning, enterprise finance, and managing the growing new business. I didn't realize there was a blueprint for that. You know, like, I mean, I didn't realize that, like, if it's that easy, like, shit, like all we gotta do is go get a degree and we can, you know, plan to launch a new business with focus on innovation and new venture. Yeah, it sounds great. Mm-hmm. I mean, show me how. Like, oh yeah, well, I mean, can't really, you know, like, I mean, good Lord, like, I mean, like that's
it
like
depends
comical.
on you. You know, it's, you know, based on your decisions, your business plan, blah blah blah, right? It's all this caveat of depends.
Well, what they're teaching you really is how to go into the VC system, I'm sure, and making sure that you can raise funds and
Correct.
how to navigate that world.
How to create a business plan, how to build a pitch deck, how to present, right?
Right. How to do
How
what everybody wants you to do, and we're in like and you know,
how to
not be innovative.
follow,
Right.
right?
How to follow
How
whatever
to
somebody else
follow a
said. Yeah.
blueprint. Because
Right.
the thing
Right.
is, the notion of entrepreneur is about creativity and innovations. When you
Yeah.
go and you take a class, you follow a blueprint, it basically contradicts that concept.
What is a entrepreneur definition? Let's see.
You mean a manager?
A person who undertakes a project, a person who organizes and operates a business, takes on greater than normal financial risk.
You mean a manager?
What?
I mean, the definition of entrepreneur, they have
right.
changed it to the meaning I'm a fucking business manager.
Right.
They're not an entrepreneur anymore. It's just fucking a business manager. You're a business manager. It's like you organize.
Yeah, you're right. It's just a business management degree at that point in time. Like that's already been now we just, you know,
You just rename it so
you're
that
right. Yeah.
you go and you pay a bunch of money to the school
To be an
system
entrepreneur. Yeah.
to be an entrepreneur, right?
When I was I don't know about you, yeah,
I mean, there's so many
assume,
MBAs out there that doesn't use an MBA at all. It's like, what's the point of going and getting an MBA? There's so many. I mean,
it's worthless, like especially with the age of or the speed of the way that things evolve from entrepreneuring, the way that the speed of the way business evolves at this point in time with, you know, new technologies. It's your degree is irrelevant probably within a year of you receiving a degree from business school. You know, I mean, it's going that fast. I mean, it's like what's the point? You know, it's like being a CS major, I'm sure, you know, and like, you know, who cares what you learned in school? It's like, really, what are you evolving with whatever's going on in the world and real world practical, you know, applications.
That's why a lot of CS major are not very good programmers.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason why is because they are not naturally logical, right? So because there is a what do you call it, like an over demand in those fields. So that whenever kids sees it, they go into the major. But the majority of CS major, they are not fitted because think about if you have to sit there and you look at code. I mean, talk about code. Code is just like it's not picture. It's just code. It's just symbols. Okay.
Right.
Imagine a person sitting at a computer for 10 to 16 hours a day looking at fucking code, which is like cryptic symbols. How many people can do that? How many people wants to do that?
No, I don't want to do that.
Exactly. That's why the thing is, I don't care what kind of university teaches you how to program. You cannot program because you're not built. You don't have the gene to do this. Right. This is the reason why most CS major are not good programmers, because the only thing they can do is just follow some instructions.
Yeah. Yeah, they just go to the library. They go to the library of code that somebody else has built, and they probably just plug it in. And when they get stumped, they're like, "Oh, well, I don't know what to do now."
They plug it in, and it still doesn't work, and they say, "Well, fuck that." I mean, this is when I've come across many projects that it has been ongoing for like years, and they can't fix it, right? And then they will go and they will find enough people, and eventually somebody figures out how to fix it, right? So that's why I'm really good at doing remedial work, because people can't fix it. I go and they say,
I don't think that's the right word. It's not remedial. You're
recovery.
Yeah, remedial I think is like means like low level. Is well, maybe not. No. All right. I guess that could apply. What does it mean to be remedial in school? It addresses learning gaps by reteaching basic skills. I don't know. Maybe that works. All right.
But the word remedial
Right.
by my sense of definition, it is to provide a solution after something has fallen, right?
Right.
To
Remediate. Yeah.
to remediate, exactly, to remediate,
Right.
right? So the thing is, remedial teaching is like the you are trying to get that person back up
Right.
to where it's normal because that person has fallen. So if you are acting remedially, that means you are trying to get them back. But if you are needing remediate, that means you have fallen. So depending on the perspective of what you're talking about. So that's why I think, I say it's
It
remedial
makes
work.
sense. It applies. Okay, well, I gotta pump the brakes. I know we're we're way past where we wanted to go tonight, and I need to go to bed. But as always, like, God damn it, True. Like, it's like, I even said, before this conversation, I was like, we'd probably make this one pretty quick, and
I
of
didn't believe
course,
you.
yeah, of course we didn't. Like, and of course it was a fun conversation, and it's like, why do we, it's clearly why we keep doing this. Like, but we can leave everybody with the question of, are you a knowledge reservoir or a channel? Are you a secret keeper, or are you are you the person that nobody wants to tell a secret to? So, I would rather be the person that no one wants to tell a secret to. Well, you don't want to be that person either, because then you don't learn anything. But you definitely want to share, though.
Yeah, I want to know. I just don't want to have to constrain myself. Okay, so if there's something you don't want me to pass on, don't tell me.
Exactly.
So, because I'm not going to constrain the limit my being.
Yeah, you know what? Shame on them for making me feel uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah,
that's not cool. Like,
it's
like, I
not
mean,
cool.
if you share something with somebody, you should be like, tell everyone. Like, and I'm gonna say, okay, like, yes. um,
Eh,
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
all
but
right.
it's just like, hey, you have seen something. Now you need to stay in your home and stay there until, whenever the secret's no longer needed. Like, that's essentially what you're doing. You are locking yourself inside a room and you're not and never coming out. That's the feeling that I get when I'm thinking about keeping a secret, right? I can't do it. Even
Right.
though I'm an introvert, I cannot keep a secret.
Agreed. And nor should you. So I think
And
that's
I
what we
don't
learned
want
tonight.
to. I don't want to.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Right.
at this point in my life, it's like I have learned that I don't want to keep it. I don't want to eat the frog. I don't want to
Right.
constrain myself. I don't want to run for train. This thing, it make a big difference between, how happy you are, regardless of what you have or where you at in your life. Having those perspectives changes the outlook on life.
Agreed. I think it's a great place to put a pin in this for the night, and we are taking a 1 week hiatus due to travel plans, and even though I'll be sad to not do this next week, we'll see you all in 2 Mondays from now.
2 Mondays, okay.
But yeah, thanks for joining, and talk again soon.
All right, see you. Good night.
Bye.